Thank you very much for joining me on this video. Always a pleasure to be able to bring you one of these videos. I hope you find this useful. Now, recently, I made a video on keeping your eyes on the road. If you haven't watched that, I will encourage you strongly to watch that because in this video, I bring the concluding part to that video. So in this video, I talk about keeping your eyes on the road, and I'll start by talking about and discussing how we can survive life distractions and maintain our focus. In the last video, we talked about the fact that in life, inevitably, we will come across distractions, just like when you're driving. When you're driving, there would be lots of things that take away your attention. Sometimes they are unavoidable, sometimes they are avoidable. For example, there might be a car driving too close to you that you need to keep an eye on to make sure that they are not swaying into your lane. And if needs be, you can't defensively avoid them. But sometimes it might be you staring at something happening either by the side of the road or maybe an accident or something, but we end up dwelling too long on it beyond what we need to do, and that can be a big problem. So how can we deal with the distractions that we find in life, things that take away our attention when they happen? How do we maintain our focus? Now, when you're driving, there are sometimes very simple things you can do to help you to keep your attention. So, for example, some people will lock away their phones in the glove compartment to make sure that no calls are coming through, or they can switch it off. It is not always practical to switch off your phone. So some people would use a hands-free kit so that they are able to take phone calls without getting distracted. In the same way in life, we need to take precautions or actions that can help us to maintain our focus, whatever happens around us. And one of the clearest things to do would be to set clear priorities in life. Just like in the case of when you're driving, you lock away your phone or you switch it off. Here, people who do that would have set a clear priority that for the moment, the important thing, or probably the most important thing, is my driving. Every other thing can wait, and which is when it is helpful, for example, if you've got an answer phone set up on your phone, so that if people ring whilst you're driving, they can leave a message and you can get back to them if needs be. When driving, another useful tool would be to use, if you've got a GPS, normally called satellite navigation systems, which are also very helpful. Now, almost every mobile phone has one, and many cars have an inbuilt system, so it makes it very easy when you are navigating the roads, especially places that you haven't been before, uncharted routes. In the same way as satellite navigating systems can help with navigating difficult or new journeys, life can be made easier to manage if you plan your life. If you can identify, for example, goals, your purpose, and write these down so that there is a clear-cut direction for you in your life. So goals, and especially written down goals, are very important in helping us to connect our purpose to the vision that we're working towards in life. Another thing, and we would know, for example, already that when you're driving, it's important to maintain your focus. In the previous video, I mentioned daydreaming as one of the potential causes of distraction when we are driving. Now, it's important, therefore, to focus all our attention on the here and now, on the job at hand, which is driving. In the same way, in life, we need to maintain that presence of mind to make sure that our life is going in the direction that we should be going to, and we are not getting distracted by things happening around us. Going back to the driving analogy, another way that we can avoid distractions in when we are driving would be to take regular breaks. Sometimes you see a sign that says that tiredness kills, take a break. So it is important that if you feel tired, you take a break. In much the same way in life, we need to sometimes take the opportunity to pause and reflect. Now, sometimes we get too busy with life that there is no opportunity to pause and then to reflect on what we're doing. But if you wouldn't get fatigued and if you wouldn't get too tired, to be able to continue meaningfully, just like you do in a journey, it's important that we pause, we take breaks, and then reflect on the past, and then to help us to make sure if we are on the right track in the first place. Another way, would be if we related it to the the traveling on the motorway analogy. Sometimes, we will come into traffic jams. There would be the need for a detour, bad weather. Sometimes there's lots of rain, snowing, or sometimes a mix of both, which means that sometimes even visibility is reduced. Similarly, in life, there would be obstacles, things like rejections, failures, unexpected challenges that we deal with. Now, these sometimes would become, like I mentioned the example of sometimes when it is raining and snowing or other things happening at the same time. So sometimes a multiplicity, of these things are thrown at us in life. But just as we would navigate, on the road, sometimes by taking a break, sometimes by being just patient and waiting for the bad weather, instance to finish before we continue. Sometimes we do the same in life. I've driven in places or at times where it is raining so much that I can hardly see 10 meters ahead of me. And sometimes I find that it makes really no sense driving under such circumstances. And a few times I will either, if it is safe to do so, I will stop, or drive into a service center, whichever comes first. And then I will wait for a few minutes until the weather condition subsides. Sometimes it is important that we stay calm and reassess the situation. In many cases, there are certain things that will just pass by themselves, given time. And that is when patience and staying calm are very important. Sometimes it might help to adjust the approach without losing sight of the destination though. I give the example of sometimes stopping and then waiting for a certain weather event to pass or to abate. I don't lose sight of the fact that I'm meant to be going somewhere. So at the least opportunity, when the conditions have improved, I will continue. Winston Churchill says something, and I quote, that success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm, unquote. So occasionally and sometimes in life, there would be events that can be compared to failure. That is, if it is failure at all, because there are lots of people, and there's one big school of thought that says that there's nothing like failure, it's just feedback. But granted that you felt for a season that you have failed in something, being able to bounce back from that event is critical. A few real life applications to this. So far we have been comparing the journey of life to the journeys that we have on the road, motorways and all that. And we see lots of similarities in these. Now, a few real life applications before we conclude this video. Now, when you're driving, just as a driver avoids accidents by focusing on the road, despite any challenging, distracting circumstances such as heavy rain, snows, fog, and all. In life, we need to stay committed to our purpose, whatever might be happening around us, whatever setbacks that we may be dealing with. And if we can do that, ultimately, we will achieve the success that we so much deserve. It is important that, notwithstanding any development, we stay focused completely on our life's goals. Now, focus is the bridge between dreaming and achieving. So that there are times where we, without any control, you've got no control over it, but you find yourself daydreaming. But focus would transport you or move you from just dreaming to the point of achieving, because focus will bring you always back to the actions that you need to take or to stop taking to make sure that you are headed towards the direction you need to go in. It has been said that the road ahead is always more important than the road behind. One speaker gave this analogy that is why the windscreen of a car is so many times much bigger than the rear view mirrors. And even if you added the wing mirrors to it, they still cannot match how big in terms of size the windshield or the windscreen ahead of you is. And he explains it this way, that it's because you're meant to be looking ahead more than trying to look back. So just to reinforce the fact that the road ahead is always more important than either the limitations, the current limitations, or the one behind. I remember very well something that my driving instructor taught me when I started driving. When I came between obstacles, and sometimes you found small roads with cars parked on either side, and the instruction was that keep looking ahead, because if you keep looking at either car, there is a tendency that you can drive into one of them. But if you look ahead, then the body of the car maintains that straight direction, and you are more likely to avoid the obstacles that you are trying to focus on. In the words of Tony Robbins, your life is controlled by what you focus on. So this is about all that time would allow for in this session. Thank you very much for your time and for joining me. I hope you found this useful. And if you did, please share this with your friends and family. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do, so that anytime we upload a new video, you will be the first to know. Until the next video, I'll say that keep your focus, look ahead to the end and to the destination, and don't focus on the distractions. Thank you. All the very best.